So first of all, hello.
Yeah, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Welcome in Poland.
Thank you very much.
Just because I have you right now here in Poznan, I have to ask you a few questions, if it's okay for you.
Yeah.
So the first question is for all those people who are beginners right now and wanted to build some solid muscle.
Yeah.
What was your training and diet at the beginning of your journey?
Man, for me, because I was one of them guys, believe it or not, I was hard to put on mass. For me, I could eat, and I didn't know how to put on weight. So when they came up with the idea of, eat a lot of calories, eat a lot of calories, I was doing the best. I was going to McDonald's, I was eating pizza, I was eating a lot of that, and I thought it was a lot of calories and it was a thing. But what we noticed is, especially for new guys that are trying to put on mass or put on decent mass, you gotta eat a lot, but you have to eat a lot of clean food. You have to eat a lot of good food. And then to make up the calorie difference, you then add your junk to it. But you have to make sure the majority of your meals is still nice and clean one. And then when it comes to training, same thing. Training, I see a lot of young kids now in the gym, they're already trying to do this advanced isolation bands and all this stuff. So I do, stick to the basic, man. Basic, practice the basic first before you start trying to build up on that.
Okay. So do you remember a point in the time when training stopped being a pastime and you decided to become a competitor? And what's changed in the time?
Well, I remember the point where I was enjoying it and everything else, and obviously when I first competed was when I decided that, look, I got feedback from the judges and from people saying you can become a pro bodybuilder one day if you take it seriously. And for me, I was winning competitions, so for me I was like, okay, maybe this is true, maybe it is. And I remember watching, I said, first time I watched Generation I on DVD, I don't know if you guys watched that.
Of course.
For me, I watched what the bodybuilders were like. I saw that and I thought, that's what I want to be. So that was the point where I said, yes, I want to be a pro bodybuilder. I need to stop training like I'm just start training like a pro. But, what you see on TV and on Instagram, it's not the same in real life, Then I wanted to turn pro. I didn't know that when you turn pro, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden you're rich, you're making money. It just means that you don't have the ability to make that. So at the time I didn't know, nobody don't tell you what happens when you turn pro. They don't talk about it. They don't say, okay, when you turn pro, this and this is what happens. You just assume because you look at the top pros of the world, you say, once I turn pro, that's going to be me. Nobody tells you that, you're only just getting started.
Okay. Yeah, what is your advice for people who are at the beginning of their journey, being a bodybuilder, but they have like a limited budget? Because what are the most important issues you would like to focus on?
Yeah, for people because I was in the same position when I started bodybuilding.
This is why I asked.
I was very limited in my budget and everything else. I say, look, as much as it is, and it's detrimental to obviously my company and sponsor, I say, look, focus on buying real food. The real food that you can buy, rice, chicken is going to always be expensive. Protein source is going to be expensive. But try to balance between chicken and fish and eggs. Those are three protein sources that is already abundant. Focus your budget more on that. Don't worry so much about using the right protein shake or using the right BCAAs or looking at that creatine. Focus all your budget more on food and doing the training. That will serve you a lot better in that stages where you don't have the budget to then expand your horizon to buy supplements. That will help you more out a lot better. So focus more on that.
So protein first?
Protein first, food, actual real food first, before supplements.
Okay. Your presentation on stage is no doubt the most important aspect while preparing for the competition. But what are your guidelines when it comes to learning how to pose? And do you believe that you have to hire someone to teach you, or you believe that you can do it by yourself?
You can do it by yourself. I mean, it's nice to have someone to give you another eye to see or pick out your faults. But where I started, like I said, when I started, I didn't have the money to hire someone. I didn't have the money to stand in front of a posing coach and say, show me how to pose. I knew people in the gym that had competed and they could help look at me and adapt me a little bit in that sense. But what I did is YouTube. Everything is on YouTube. watch bodybuilding, not just today's bodybuilding. Go back and watch the Lila brothers, the Frank Zanes, the Hunter, all those guys, the Gasparis, the Sean Rays. Watch them over and over and over and practice. It's the same thing when we were kids, man. We watch Arnold and we want to do Arnold.
Yeah.
So what's changed? Go back and watch those guys. You see them do a pose. You think, that's nice. You pause it, you rewind it, you practice it. Okay, you look at yourself in the mirror, you adapt, you check again, you adapt it, you practice over and over. That's what today a lot of people misunderstand is having the time and patience to just practice for yourself. We always want to use the ability to buy information, buy help, but we always want to run to.
It's quick and easy.
Yes, and this is the thing. But we don't want to do the work ourselves. We don't want to learn about our body ourselves. We don't want to learn how we pose ourselves. We don't want to learn about bodybuilders. We want to be told, and we want to buy help and buy this and get. But we don't want to learn ourselves. But then what ends up happening is you end up in a point where you end up stuck because you don't know anything yourself. You're relying on other people to teach you how to be a bodybuilder. When you're starting off, wherever you are, start learning for yourself. Start watching it. The information is there. Start sifting through and learning what you need to do.
Okay. I wanted to ask you where's the passion for the posing comes from, but you already answered the passion when you speak about the posing. Is speaking about yourself.
I watched, like I said, like when I first, the thing is, when you're not into bodybuilding yet, and you're just a normal guy, you've seen people in the gym, and you want to say, bodybuilding, what's this? You open a video, what do you see? You see a lot of mass monsters, a lot of big guys. And for most people, especially people that don't know bodybuilding, it's not appealing. No, not for me, not like that. But then, if you ever looked around and you saw Arnold, and you saw Sean Ray, and you saw Flex Wheeler, and you watch them guys pose, and Frank Zane, you look and go, wow, that's beautiful. It's like looking at a statue, a moving statue that flows. That was what happened for me. When I started, I saw the mass monster and they were not. I would look and go, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that big. I don't want to be that freaky. No, not for me. And he's off with it. But when I saw the other pretty physique and I saw the Seans and I saw them flows and saw the Gaspari look beautiful on stage and they posted this dramatic music from, the 97, the 98 Olympias, all the way back to the 60s. You saw them pose and it's like, wow, this is art. So for me, that's what drew me to love bodybuilding. That was my vision of what I saw bodybuilding was. This is, it's not muscle building, it's bodybuilding. It's come up as an art form. So for me, that was what I wanted to represent, and that's why that passion was there.
It's going to be a quick one. Yeah. You can answer like yes or no.
Yeah.
Do you pulse in the middle of the off season?
A little bit, yes, but not as much as I do when competition time. Off season, I'm growing. If I pose in the off season, it might be once every 2 weeks. I don't spend a lot of time in there, even though I should, because when you put in a lot of mass, you lose your flexibility and you lose your stiffness. But when prep happens, it's every day, all the way to the show.
Do you have a training routine that falls into a day that helps you remember that you have to practice your posing, or it's just like
when I'm prepping, first thing in the morning after I finish cardio, I'm there posing for 10 to 20 minutes right in front of the mirror, hitting all my poses over and over and over again. With the off season, you want to check the progress. You're putting on mass, you want to know, is it good mass? So you don't just stand there and look at the mirror and this is good and you move on. No, you go through your poses, you check, okay, how much you're doing. So that is your regime. When you have your check-in, say you're checking in the off season, say you're checking your weight once a week. You don't just check the number, you check how it looks. Am I putting on a lot of fat? Am I putting on good muscle? You pose.
Okay, I know it's a silly question, but do you think a type of training alone, like a full body workout, splits, push-pull legs and stuff like that matters? Or the most important thing is how you do it, not what you do it?
Yeah, it's how you do it. Every training form works to some point for the right person. It just comes to what works for you. And you have to try different variation, different things, and you find out what works for you. Once you do, that's your bread and butter, that's what works for you. So it might be push-pull, That might work freaking awesome for you. You're growing in that. Stick to it. It might be volume, high volume, that works for you. It might be low volume, high intensity. That works for you. If it works for you, it works for you. You don't, just stick with it. There's no wrong, there's no right. When it comes to trial, there's no wrong, there's no wrong. There's not the wrong split or the right split. There's not the wrong amount of training days, the right amount of training. Oh, I train every 5 days, or I train 5 days and I rest, I train 3 days and I rest. None of that. It all depends on the individual.
What do you think that delays the development of the most of the competitors? Is it a work ethic? Is it finance, or maybe a fear?
I mean, in terms of delays, it all depends. It varies from different person. For me, part of it was the finance of it. I was working full time, I was doing this, and I was trying to juggle both. And at the same time, I was subsidizing this career with working a full-time job. There's only so much, I have to make cuts because there's only so much I can afford. I can't, so much food I can afford. There's only so much time I can afford. There's only so much, working nights, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening, going to train, it's like you're not getting much rest. You train 2 hours, you're back home, you're sleeping, you're waking up 7 o'clock. There's not enough rest. So financially, it didn't click for me. Once I was in a better financial position, now I'm like, okay, I can afford to rest more, I can afford to train harder, I can afford to have time off. So that's for me. Some people, it might be work ethic. It might be the idea that they don't have that discipline, they trust in motivation. I say motivation is the biggest curse to failure.
Yeah.
Because people think to go to the gym you have to be motivated. That's the biggest flaw in everything.
It's comes and goes.
Motivation is like it's like wind. One day you're motivated, the next day you're not. This morning I was motivated, this evening I'm not. Yesterday I was motivated.
It's a pendulum, yeah.
It's a pendulum, it doesn't matter. You never. Discipline is what keeps you on course. This is knowing the difference between being disciplined is, I don't feel like training today, but I have to train today.
Okay. And since your lady is from Poland,
mm-hmm.
and you probably been here a couple of times, yes. And you tasted the Polish dish more than once, probably. So, what's your favorite Polish dishes? And maybe it's something that you heard about that you wanted to try.
Okay, so yesterday, what's the name? I tried the Polish shoma yesterday. Ooh, I remember trying it when I first came to Poland in 2017, and I was in Warsaw at the time, and went to the place and they put me on the wrap in the shawarma, the vegetables in there, the chips in there, the beef.
So it's like a kebab.
It's like a kebab. Yeah. Dude, they don't do that stuff in England, man. I wish, oh my God, it was amazing. So last night, my last meal, we were driving, we saw one of those stores, I'm like, I have to. The guy whipped me up, it was this big. And honestly, I was inside of my bed before I went to sleep, and I was eating that thing. Oh my God, absolutely love it. I'm gonna have it again today.
Okay.
Polish dumplings was another one I used to have a lot of. I love it. I eat that one at home. Absolutely love it. Was the potatoes, the potato pancakes?
The placki ziemniaczane. Yeah.
Another one. I love that. This is
And like a sweet ones or more like a sour one?
So I like the more sour one because I can eat that with like chicken and sauce.
Okay,
so for me, that's like I get a fork. I can eat that. I also love that. Yeah, that's awesome for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that everyone is right now is satisfied. We have some training, so like mental aspects, and obviously some junk food. In this particular case, it was Polish food. So I'm so happy that we have to have the opportunity to speak a little bit. And I know you are so hungry. So
no problem,
thank you for this. And obviously, I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
I love how you look. I love how you pose, and I love everything about your mental.
Thank you, man.
When it comes to the bodybuilding.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.